I'm live. Okay. We're going to read the invocation. We're on chapter 18. Invocation to I Am Discourses, chapter 3. Thou mighty illumining presence, which I am, in gratitude and praise, we enter into the fullness of thy presence today and forever receive thy limitless blessings, thy strength and courage, thy joyous enthusiasm, all of which is self-sustained. We know there is one presence. I am that presence of all activity, all wisdom and power. And in the freedom of that mighty presence, we stand serene, unmoved among all outer things which seem to point to the contrary. I stand serene in thy great forever. I claim thy great dominion in my place. I stand in the radiance of God eternal, ever looking thee full in thy face. I bring you greetings from the great host, and also their blessings from the happy enthusiasm which has been entered into. We shall endeavor to sustain you in that joyous enthusiasm as the hub of this radiation, because all the students will feel and act it. Far more has been accomplished this week than was anticipated, and we enter with you into the great rejoicing. The loving blessings of each student unto the other is most commendable. And this simple thing will open the door, oh so wide, to receive the fullness intended for them. The discourse. I would be so pleased to have every one of the students just at this time especially use the statement with all enthusiasm that they can command. I know I am the use of God's limitless opulence. Here I wish to explain that when there is a group of students in accord, working from the same principle, and they use this statement, they not only bring into their own world and use this great opulence, but they bless their associate students with the same thing, because I am the presence in each one. This is the mighty power of cooperative action which everyone should use. The student who maintains a loving blessing to each other are really held in the embrace of the great I am presence. And when they acknowledge its action, they are commanding the same blessing and action for other students that they are for themselves. This is the correct attitude to be sustained, and if maintained sincerely in the heart of each one, no one within the embrace will want for any good thing, but the student who allows any feeling to remain of unkindness to the other will shut himself away from the great radiance and blessing. So I want to say something here. JD, I want to say something here. Now let us enter into the keynote of what you're touching this morning. The simple understanding of God's will and free will. God's will is the opulence of goodwill and the birthright of everyone's God children. I'm realizing here that oftentimes, and most especially with our family, that we feel we got a right, almost like a privilege to disagree, to not forgive, to have enmity toward the ones who we grew up with, the ones who we love most of all. And we think that we're right in our hatred, our what do you call it? Resentment, dislike. They did this to us, they did that to us, and now we don't talk to them forever. As years we don't talk to them. I'm looking for you to sit down for a second, all right? And this is like a common thing. It seems like in most families, there is something going on with the brother or sister or the mother or the father, and we think it is just A-okay to discard them, to show this disrespect, this lack of love, this lack of forgiveness. And as we do this, we cut ourselves off from the very light that we're seeking. So I want to make this point. I want to put this point out in the air because as we do these things, and especially as you get older in years, and then they're gone, you have lost an opportunity to simply forgive, to love, to be in the light. I'm not saying this because I see everybody else out in the world doing this. I'm saying this for myself, that our friends and our family, we should extend more love and light and forgiveness to them. When you are reaching to, so we're on 209, second paragraph, 7 lines down, 9 lines down. When you are reaching to the light in the use of the mighty I Am presence with sincerity, it is not possible for you to do otherwise than call for God's will to be done. As children of God, the Father, who has given his children free will that they may choose, they must understand that it is for them alone to decree what shall act in their lives and world. Having free will, the student must understand that God can only act in his life and world according to his conscious direction. So what they're emphasizing here is you are God, you express yourself as God, as you express yourself as God. And if you're not expressing yourself as God, then you're not expressing yourself as God. What I mean, if you act in love and light, you're expressing yourself as God. If you act in resentment, dislike, and all of the qualities we seem to love so much, that are negative, you are not acting as God. And you are shutting yourself off from that light. Saint Germain says all the time, he says, the student we've been reading here all this last 17 months, we've been reading here, you have a tremendous power in your hands that you can use, which is the light of God. He keeps repeating that. He keeps repeating that. Some of us has seen this power come right into our head, and that this is the God power. We use it according to every second that we live in this world. We decide we're going to be like this. We decide we're going to be like that. Somebody come and they ruffle our feathers, and we have resentment immediately, or we get arrogant, or we do whatever it is that we do. And what's happening is the moment we do that, we jump right back into the ego, and we shut ourselves off from the very light that we are. And not only that, we're coloring the light. We're coloring the light. We're coloring the very power of God that's coming into our head. Because we need to remember, once it passed this point, we are the God. We are the God. So we're, what Saint Germain says, changing the force of God that we are into the ego as it comes into us. Let me continue. God is the principle of all life, and each child of God is an individualized, conscious, active part of that great principle of life and love and power. God has given into the keeping of every one of his children this marvelous consciousness, which is omnipresence, eternally elastic, as it were, which can be drawn into a focal point to write with the pen of light or expand to encompass the earth. Consciousness is always subject to direction through the use of the free will. If anybody has any questions, any thoughts, or anything you want to jump in, feel free. The most unfortunate understanding established by the orthodox idea that God acts of his own free will in the life of the individual or a nation is positively not true. God can only act through the minds of his individualizations. In the life of the individual or a nation is positively not true. God. That's what that was saying. Okay. Which is God can only act through the minds of his own individualization, which is clothed with the personalities that you see about you. So to be clear, God is acting in everything that we see. Now that he said that, it makes me think like, when you see somebody, Saint Germain has said a couple of times, quite a few times, he said, if we see someone who is acting, crazy, wild, this and that way, he says, just say, God is acting there. And we don't know how that person's Trinity, how that person's God self um, is putting them through what they're putting them through so that they can get back. Because we got to always remember, our Trinity is always looking to get us back in to the light, us back in to the concept that we are God, that we are connected, that the light that comes from our God self is an unbroken light until we break it and go into our own darkness. We got to remember that light is what our consciousness is. And through these individualized expressions of light or darkness, we are, or I am. So as we go into our resentment, we go into our dislike, we go into our ego when somebody ruffles our feathers, we're going into darkness. We choose to go into darkness. All right, let me keep at this. These personalities are but vehicles of use and expression of this mighty individuality, which is God's will and your free will. And it only comes into use by your conscious direction. Oh, that's deep. That's a jewel, y'all. There's a jewel. I say to you that every function of your body is sustained through conscious action, although you are not aware of it. But as you reach deeper and deeper into the... Every time that phone rings, could you immediately... All right? I say to you that every function of your body is sustained through conscious action, although you are not aware of it. But as you reach deeper and deeper into the consciousness of the mighty I am presence, you will come to understand that it is impossible for any outer action to take place without self-conscious action. I'm telling you again, any questions, just jump in. A simple proof of this is what any of us may test at any moment. I wish to do some physical act. Preceding that activity, there always comes the thought to do it. Otherwise, the hand or body would not move in action. That which people have chosen to call involuntary action is a thing that has mystified. That which people have chosen to call involuntary action is a thing that has mystified their understanding of their own being. The student should take this humble explanation and meditate upon it often, for it will clear the mind of any obstructions. You are self-conscious, free will, acting beings. I'll read that again. You are self-conscious, free will, acting beings. And this I'm getting a feeling this is going over the head. So let me add something here. When he's saying you are free will, you are self-conscious, free will, acting beings. It's like if you decide that you're going to go into a gym and start sculpting your body, and you do that every day, your body will get sculpted. Next thing, you're going to be looking like this Adonis. You're going to be different. In that exact same way, if you start saying the mantra 10,000 times a day, or saying these decrees 10,000 times a day, or meditating an hour in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, maybe 30 minutes at night, you're going to start having divine experiences. You're going to be living in the light. You're going to be better. You'll be purifying your mind, your body. And it works like this. When you decide, I'm not going to lie in any way, and or about anything. I'm not going to have resentment, condemnation, judgment, or blame of any person, place, condition, or thing, right? I'm not going to have any criticism, condemnation, judgment, or blame of any person, place, condition, or thing. Then you purify yourself greatly. I'm going to put up some pictures so I can show you how that looks, as far as how a person's aura looks as it's beaming with light. And then once that happens, you start having divine experiences within, without even the medicines. Without even the medicines, you'll start having divine experiences within, to the point you'll start meditating 3 hours out of the day. Then you get to the point where you're meditating morning, 3 hours. When I say morning, I mean 3 to 6 a.m., noon, 12 to 3, evening, 6 to 9. You'll live your life in meditation. You'll be having so many divine experiences. And this is power sadhana. This is power spiritual practices. As you get deeper and deeper and deeper into the light, like a bodybuilder, as they get more muscular and their diet, they're on their diet like nobody's business. What'll end up happening is the same thing with your spiritual expression. But we decide to do it. We decided that's what we're going to do. We decided we're going to seek out spiritual masters, spiritual haunts, temples, monasteries, and so forth and so on. The student should take this humble explanation and somebody has a question?
I have a question. Lucretia.
Yes, I see it's Lucretia.
Okay. So to the point where the paragraph you just read, well, before that, to do the test, to think if nothing can happen without the thought first. What do we call it when we're in like a trance, for instance? We have things on our mind and we're driving and we're going through the motions and get ourselves home and like, wow, how did I get home? As an example.
In a trance, driving in a trance.
Well, because it's muscle memory, we know how to get home, so we don't have to think, I'm turning on this street, you know what I'm saying? I'm stopping at this stoplight. We're going through actions without being conscious of them.
Well, you're going through actions without being conscious of the actions that you're doing. So let's say you get to the corner, right? But there's a stop sign at that corner. You don't think to stop?
You don't have to consciously think to stop. You've stopped at that corner 100 times. So I'm saying that, I'm asking based on saying I wish to do some physical act. So driving is a physical act, but you're not really present in the driving. Do you understand my question?
I do.
Okay.
But there still is consciousness there. Like, consider this. You're driving. And in your peripheral visions, you see somebody is not conscious or maybe even fell asleep in that car. Even though you're doing an automatic action, you'll see it and you'll stop. There is consciousness there at all times. Something comes towards your eye, you're going to blink even though you're not thinking. There is consciousness there. It's not like you're asleep, right, where something can come at you and hit you.
Right.
Check this out. Every time I get into the car, I say a decree. If anybody wants this decree, you can ask for it. I go, beloved mighty and presence, great hosts of seated and ascended masters, great angelic hosts, great cosmic beings who govern the system of world, and the seven mighty Elohim. I evoke the full protection of Archangel Michael to protect us in this car, to protect everyone outside the car, and to protect the car. I ask this in the name of Swami Muktananda Paramahanta, Bhagavan Nishananda, the Guru Macha Vilasananda, beloved Saint Germain, Lord Jesus Christ, and the great Sanat Kumara. And I thank you. Then I say, God is driving this car. So at that point, God is driving the car. And I don't get into accidents. I mean, something karmic could come up, which happened to me. Before I start saying this, my car was getting banged up all the time. Although what's really happening is God is driving the car with you, through you. There is always consciousness acting. And generally, it's only when you're meditating that you're asleep. It's not like, I shouldn't say asleep. Your consciousness is focused within and your eyes are closed. But even in this habitual action, if somebody comes toward your eye, you're still going to blink. There is always going to be thought while you're awake. It's like the monkey mind. It's going to be thought. It's not like you're you're asleep. Because the way the question seems to be put to me is that because you're doing this automatically, that thought doesn't exist there, but it does. Even though it may be habitual, it is still there. Um, it's not like the automatic system, automatic nervous system. It's you're still there functioning. You're putting on gas. If you're putting on gas, you're putting your foot on the gas pedal, moving the car forward. If a kid ran in front of that car, your consciousness would wake up or be more present. I know because I used to be a cab driver. I don't drive like that anymore. I don't let my consciousness waver, especially behind the steering wheel. Um, but there is always consciousness. There is always conscious thought going on in your mind, even though you may not think it. It may be less, at sometimes, like maybe you're sitting at a lake or at a river, somewhere where you kind of like in a blissful state and you're not thinking. But if somebody comes up on the side of you, you're going to start thinking. You know, um, I don't think that we're in a space where in an absolute quiescent state where thought is absent. That's kind of like a pure state. But even then, check this out. If you are God, right, and you are, right, and you're in deep sleep, right, how do you know you're in deep sleep if you're not thinking? You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So you know you're in deep sleep. You know you're not thinking because your consciousness is always there. You're not thinking, but your consciousness is always there. If you can move to and fro like you're saying, still God is there, aware of everything that's going on. So the deep sleep state is deeper than what the state you're talking about, which is, I don't think you mean exactly what you're saying, but I understand what you're trying to say. Even in that deep sleep state, you're there, you're thinking, and oftentimes God will tell you to wake up because something untoward is coming towards you. I don't think that we could be in a completely quiescent state, moving to and fro. But consider that you are always aware. You know, God is always acting in you. That Trinity is a God construct, and it is always acting. And it's like the doer, the thinker, and the knower. Well, the thinker thinks, and although that you may not be aware of what's going on, your God thinker aspect of the Trinity is, and will warn you. Someone's hand is up.
My hand is up.
Oh, okay.
How do you explain people in a coma?
Well, people in a coma, people that are in a coma, the question is, Jadine is asking the question, how do you explain people that's in a coma? I've heard stories of people who are in comas, and when they come out, they tell their loved ones, "Man, I've been going all around the universe. I'm ready to take off. I'm ready to leave, and and experience life on the other side." Some people might be in a state where um, their mind is shut off, but God is not. God is always aware. God is always aware. Now, the personality may not be, but that personality means the ego or the individualized person. They may not be aware. Their ego aspect may not be aware. They may be so deep into their ego, they think they're their ego. They may not be aware, but their God conscious self, always aware. It's with you. It's always aware. Anybody else got a question? 'Cause I got to look up here to see this. Oh, Kim, I want to move this thing here so I can see if I can see people's faces.
Somebody might be under there trying to.
Let's see if I can move that up. So can't move it up. All right. Okay, let's continue. Did I answer your question? I got a feeling it wasn't fully answered.
I'm good with it. I do understand.
Okay.
So the doer is doing its thing through the God consciousness.
When we get to thinking in destiny, Percival breaks it down kind of really clear. We're the doer, there's a thinker, and there's the knower. The knower is all knowing. If it could be put on the side, that would work well too. The knower is all knowing. The thinker is all thinking, and the doer is all doing. It's a trinity, and these act synergistically with one another. All right, let me
Thank you,
continue.
Papa. I believe Tiffany has a question.
Tiffany, yes. So y'all help me out, because as I'm looking at the book, it's not like y'all reading and I'm looking and reading like that. So I got my eyes down. Okay, man, that's a beautiful picture of you, Kim. Anyway, Tiffany.
And then there's.
I think you got to turn your mic on. Somebody else has a question?
No.
And then Louis Garcia. Okay, Tiffany and then Louis
Yes.
Garcia.
So it's like us as the good gods who want to help you.
I didn't hear that. I'm
Can you
sorry.
hear me?
I can hear you now. It's the internet. Is this the?
It's our internet.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was saying, us as the good gods, we want to help humanity and help the world in good ways.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Are you talking, Tiffany?
Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
Are you
Okay,
speaking?
So when we operate out of our ego
Yeah.
as the good gods, we're trying to chastise to do that. As if it's bad, but you have these bad gods who are controlling the world and they're doing evil to the world and hurting humanity, hurting the animals, hurting nature. They're operating in their ego, but they have all this power. Why is it that they're operating in their ego? They have all this power, and then us as the good guys, we want to help the world and help humanity, but when we operate out of our ego, we're chastised for it so badly, but we just want to help humanity and help the world. Why is it that these evil gods have all this power and they're operating in the evil ego? But we don't even have the power that they have to be able to take over the world and do good for the world. So I don't understand that.
I like that question. I'm going to tell you something that's going to be very difficult for you to believe. God leaves it open for people to come to God on many, many levels. When you say the good gods, or you're saying gods, you're not saying guys, right? You're saying gods? Tiffany? All right, there must be something wrong with the internet. So I'm getting that you're saying good gods and not good guys.
That's what she's saying.
Right, I'm saying God, yes.
God,
Good God.
okay, because
Who want to help humanity, who want to help the world. Like, why is it that we're not able to achieve that? You know, but these evil gods are doing so much evil to the world and they're still taking over the world. You know, I'm not going to mention certain things because I do want our videos to remain up. But yeah, like, I don't understand it. It seems like it's so unfair. It seems like it's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Consider this. Let me just throw this log onto the fire. Let's say the Satanists and the Draco, right? These are beings, they're super duper powerful. I mean, to us, compared to us, we try to fight the Draco, this is a losing battle, all right? They're going to God through wickedness. 95% wickedness and 5% good. It blew my mind to find out that the Satanists are told that they got to practice good qualities, even though they're eating babies and drinking blood and so forth and so on, right? They're trying to go to God through wickedness. 95% wickedness, 5% good. So as they do what they're doing, they think they're doing the right. They don't think that they're wrong. They think that the Christians are evil and wicked and so forth and so on. And what do they say? They say, look how they're going around the world murdering people to get to Christianity. Look at how they talk about the Muslims. They're going around the world murdering people so that they love the God that they decide we should like. I went into a Hare Krishna temple a few weeks ago, and I said to this guy, I was just speaking kind of like automatically about my guru's guru, Bhagawan Nityananda. Bhagawan Nityananda went all over India doing good. This guy wants to tell me, no, he's not Bhagawan. Only Krishna is Bhagawan. I'm like, what? I wanted to say, get out of my face with your immature stupidity. This is what the Christians do all around the world with their wickedness, the Muslim, the Buddhists, everybody thinks that they could go murder people to get them to think that their God is the right God. Now, check this piece out. They then go and, once this is accomplished, they're trying to do good. But the Satanists are looking at them and saying, where's the God in that? Where's the God in you going all over the planet murdering people so that you could so that they could love the God that you love, or they could worship the God that you worship? Where's the God in the Christians doing that? Where's the God in the Muslims doing that? Where's the God in the Buddhists doing that? Where's the God in any religion? Right now in India, they're in there killing their brother Indians, because they're Muslims and they're not Hindus, for lack of a better word. Vaishnavas or Shivites or Devi worshippers. That's what they're doing today. This is a big thing going on in India right now. Why did other Indians decide that I'm gonna worship Islam? Starting with the Muslims coming into India, raiding and killing up everything and everybody. Then Shivaji, a great king, came along and put India back into the hands of the Hindus, for lack of a better word. And so they start being real racist to the Muslims. Why did part of the Indians population go to Islam when their original deities was Krishna, Shiva, Brahma, the Devi worshiper, Vishnu? Why did they do that? Because they were dark and they were treated like dirt, and still are to this day. The darker ones get treated like dirt. And when I say dark ones, believe me, y'all, we are not as dark as the Indians in India. We are not that dark. And they're black. We claim our blackness. They treat them so bad. This is the whole reason that Pakistan was separated from India. Their leader said, look, you know what? I'm sick of this. And we're going to become Pakistan and not India anymore. India is being carved up like a cake at a banquet, not realizing now it's no longer India and Pakistan, it's India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, but many of those countries that's in that region was all India. Remember this, there's ways to get to God through wickedness. Genghis Khan found himself in that position. He didn't realize it, but Genghis Khan is being born as a Draco right now. He's a clerk in the office. This we find out in the raw material. Our actions will put us in the place that we belong. He did so much wickedness on the planet that they put him with the Draco to attain God through wickedness. It's more difficult to do that, but this is how it is. Now let's deal with the Satanic Illuminati, right? They're doing what they're doing, drinking the blood of other beings and so forth and so on, because they, what would you say? How would you say it? They deny God. They say, no, we don't want you. And so the only way they can live is by drinking the blood, because that same energy I'm telling you that comes into our head, whatever energy they had before they denied God that's coming down into them, it's shut off at the source. And so whatever's coming in ends when they're denying God. So the way that they not choose to live, the only way that they can live is to kill other beings and drink their blood. We're going real esoteric here right now. If they can't get a human being who is higher, they'll go after animals and they'll drink their blood like vampires. I was here, and a woman who I thought was a friend of mine sent me over to one of her apartments to see. She knew that there was something wrong with these people, that they were Satanists, but she sent me to that environment. Before I went there, I sent the light into the place before I got there, long before I even left my house. These people, it was a white guy and a black woman from Nigeria, where they were all into it in Nigeria. And when I got in that place, it was clean and everything. but they had pictures of witches, vampires. They had a casket inside that house, like they say vampires have. I went in there and I saw a level. Did you go with me in that apartment? My wife went with me in that apartment. I was like, whoa. And they had kids, but they kept the kids in another room. And the kids opened the door and I could see them. You know, they were mixed kids, and they were worshiping, and they homeschooled them because the kids are going to let it know what they're doing at home, and they homeschool them. But you need to understand, there are so many people worshiping Satan. You will blow your mind. When you think about, and they got philosophy. They got philosophy about how wicked, you know, to get people into it, all they got to do is tell them, look at what these so-called Christians and Muslims and everybody else is doing in the name of God. We're way superior to them. And it ain't hard, it ain't hard to convince them. Well, look at them. And then they give bounty too. You come with us and you're going to get fame, you're going to get fortune, you're going to live much better than these people. And these people are, I mean, these Satanists are living in mansions. Hollywood is filled with them. California has so many Satan worshipers. They gave them their own principality. There's a guy named John Rodriguez, serious dude. He was brought up in a satanic family. He lived in the Bronx, a few blocks away from me. I never met him over there, but he turned and he became a Christian. He teaches in this church on 42nd Street now, and he was dropping it like it's hot. And he told you he started just dropping it, all the secrets. He was just dropping it, and he says there's so many Satanists in California. They gave them their own principality. Look at these people in the music industry and in the acting. If you don't turn, you don't become big there. You don't become a big actor, according to what we have heard. You don't become a big actor unless you do what Jesus was tempted to do by Satan. I'll make you this, I'll make you that. If you're the son of God, that I did out. That's all in the Bible, right? Well, he's telling that to everybody. Most people do not do what Muhammad Ali did. Forget about trying to put Jesus in that category. You know he's going to do the right thing. Most people do not say, look, I'll lose everything. I'm not going to leave God for that. So as far as people doing wickedness, when you do wickedness, it manifests faster than you doing goodness, because that's the way of the world. You know, you go out to try and do something good, let's say make money or anything, right? That's the way of the world. But if you go to rob a bank, you get money real quick. Or you go to rob someone else, you get money real quick. If you want to sell drugs, you get money real quick. Overnight, it seems like that's the way that thing works. But to do good, you have to give it its time. And the more you build that momentum in time, then the floodgates opens to you. And sometimes God's trying to test you on many, many levels. Those floodgates are not open. You're being tested. There are also certain things that you do that the goddess of wealth does not bless you. Like with lust, the goddess of wealth does not bless you. If there's something happening, if wealth is not coming into your life and you want wealth, you got to look at your life and say to yourself, if I'm doing the most powerful things, like a person who is super celibate and they're doing all that they know to be right, and wealth is not coming to their lives, they got to look at their life and say, what could be possibly happening here? I'm in the house and the wealth is not coming to me. What am I doing? What am I not doing? Right? There's people on the path. We used to wonder all the time when we were in the ashram. Some people were having visions and experiences, and you could smell the goodness coming out of them. I mean that literally. Their aura had a scent. And then there was those who was, doing intense sadhana. I mean, they were doing it, but yet they didn't see the fault in themselves. Part of moving up in the light is correcting your character, or jumping out of that ego that you built that's so strong into your God reality. And this is how it is. But every person is different. And every person does have different karma. And you got to work yourself into your karma, jump out of the ego, and just bang out the life. Bang out them prayers, bang out those decrees, bang out your chanting and open up your heart, cleaning yourself. Bang out the meditation. I mean, really get down with the get down. And then you'll see everything just open up to you. If there were no bad people here, how would we gauge our own goodness? Why are we put into the light like this? All right. Now, whose hand is that other hand? Hanuman Garcia. This man here, Hanuman Garcia, was with us. He and I were doing sadhana together. We lived with the Guru. Did you fall asleep, Hanuman? Hanuman, you got a question?
You gotta unmute.
Unmute, Hanuman. Like this brother here is not an ordinary being like Hank. He be worshiping God like nobody business. He spends most of his time in temples, but his hand is up and he's muted.
I don't think he knows how to unmute.
Hanuman, you don't know how to unmute? Can I unmute him?
No, I don't know. Try it.
Let's
Let me
see.
see. Let me see.
Move on the red thing. Why don't you go on the thing, the thing itself? Yeah, like that. Can't do it.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What question you got? Or
No, I
statement?
don't have questions. I was just enamored in your presentation and how I see Guru Mai speaking through your tongue. Your tongue has been transmuted into the tongue of Saraswati, and it's beautiful. I just like the dialogue that is enlightening, the consciousness of so many people.
Thank you, my brother. So Hanuman was the bodyguard of my guru. All right. So he got to spend a lot of time with the guru. And me and Hanuman and one other guy initially was the only 3 Black Americans around the guru. Most of the people that went thousands of miles to be with the guru was white, and they was in there. They didn't care that the guru was dark skinned. They didn't care nothing about that. They was attracted to the love of the guru. And Hanuman, myself, and this other guy named Gopal, who became a monk, we were basically the only white people there. And the white people the Black people who was there, then the white people who were there, they weren't used to being around Black people. And they were like, they saw us as they believed we were on TV. So we had to deal with their, ill thought of us. But it was a deep learning experience because we had to reach down deep. We had to reach down deep to get some humility. And like I told you before, I didn't even use the word humility. I heard of it, but in those days, so it was really deep. It was really deep getting out of the ego, getting out of our own wickedness. Because I'm running from the police going to India, so I jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. So, but you do learn. You become humble. You become fearless. You become more loving. You become more thoughtful. You realize how you're affecting people because you're purifying yourself, and you can see the hurt that you're unleashing on people through your character, and you change because you feel the love in your heart too. But then you change because you say something, and next thing you know, boom. I was reading this book, Hari Khan Baba, and Hari Khan Baba just went into silence. And people ask me, why are you going into silence? He said, I could be much better. I don't hurt people if I don't talk. If we stop talking, believe me, you're going to a state of goodness like you wouldn't believe. If you go into silence for a few months, man, when you come out of that state, you'll be like, wow. I mean, clean, pure, clean. You'll be in a mental state where you're just clean. This is a picture of Hari Khan Baba. Now, this particular guy is also a high-powered siddha. And from what from Hari Das Baba, And from what he is saying in this little book that was out many, many years ago, I read it many, many years ago, and it just came back into print. He was in the battle of Kurukshetra in the Mahabharata. That's 250,000 years ago. And he talked about things that we read in the Mahabharata and put some light on it, you know, like it blew my mind. He was on the side of the Kauravas. He wasn't on the side of Lord Krishna. And he is a Chiranjiva, or a deathless being, who they roam the earth doing what they do, you know, spiritual stuff. And very interesting stories. Very interesting stories he got in there. He started talking about why they went and killed the Pandavas when they was asleep at night. And he was saying they did unrighteous things in that battle too. And I didn't get that out of the Mahabharata, but that's the way he saw it, you know. And the people on the Pandava side saw it another way, because they was with Lord Krishna, so all their actions are pure and good. But it doesn't always work like that in somebody else's consciousness. Kim, that is such a pretty picture of you, man. I just want to look at it. Anyway,
thank you.
let me read. Okay. The student should take the humble explanation and meditate upon it often, for it will clear the mind and any obstructions. You are self-conscious, free will acting beings. This is really of vital importance to these blessed, earnest students. I love every one of you, both men and women, even though this is Saint Germain talking now, right? Even though the ladies' husbands might object. In both your classes this week, the individualized presence of Jesus the Christ stood in your midst. Now, this was in 1932, y'all, or is it 1933? This was in 1932. And so this is how he's saying, in both your classes this week, the individualized presence of Jesus the Christ stood in your midst. He's blotting out where they was, in the form of the tree of life, each student being a branch, blocking out again, from his pillar of dazzling radiance, within which was his visible personal form, not hiding here and there, in his visible personal form. He's blotting it out again. His form was within the tree of life, but not visible, not to mention others of the ascended host who were present. There were also Nada, Chaya, Ara, Lanto, and myself. Now, in 1933, in Manhattan, on 33rd Street, Jesus was seen in a church, and he was serving the people in the church, not preaching. He was giving them food. And they speak about this as we go further on in these. I don't know if it's this book or volume 4. They speak about it, but they cross out the church like they do here, right? Because next thing you know, people will be flocking to that church and doing whatever and ever, instead of correcting themselves and practicing the techniques and working on themselves. So let me continue. 211. We're down one chapter, paragraph 2. I wish to say to that class of blessed boys with the one pink rose in their midst, that I joyously hold them in all my fond embrace, so they may use and inhale the radiance of my being. They have freedom and dominion within their grasp, if they will hold fast to these instructions and apply them. In other words, meditate, pray, decree, serve, right? Further, I wish the student to understand that the stream of life flowing through the mind and body always comes into them pure and unadulterated. I can definitely give a test to that, containing within it all the strength, courage, energy, and wisdom that can ever be desired. But by the lack of control of their thought and feeling, they are unknowingly requalifying this pure essence with the outer ideas upon which the attention has been fixed. In other words, as we go for what we want in life, whether it is the opposite sex, money, so forth and so on, and its attendants, things that go along with it, We're requalifying the divine energy that's pouring into our head. When he says, when Saint Germain says the massive, tremendous amount of energy at our disposal, I was gifted to see what it looked like. It looks like a blue tornado coming into our head. I mean, and at a tremendous speed too. It's like oh man. But instead of us using it and be in line with the God force, we're pretty much in line with our wickedness. We think we're good most of the time. We think we're good most of the time, but we don't consider our own criticism, condemnation, judgment, or blame. We don't consider that. We don't consider that we got resentment toward our brother, sister, mother, or father. And maybe this resentment is illegitimate. It might be in our minds. But also in our minds, there should be forgiveness. Let's forgive them. Let's forget what they even did and just love them. Not so easy. Not so easy, but that's what's necessary. You know, it's absolutely imperative that we forgive. We have to forgive in order to move on. We have to forgive, or else we will replete cycles, and what we're doing will just this level of wickedness that we perpetuate in our hearts and minds, and we think we're right. We think that hey, they did this, and I gotta hate them. And hey, I'm telling you what I'm experiencing my own self. I do so much for somebody else, and then they show me ingratitude, and I'll say to myself, well, God hates ingratitude. And so I'll feel like, I'm justified in having resentment toward a brother, a mother, like this. And the simple fact of the matter is, I'm not. We are not. Our duty is to love. Our duty is to forgive those. And if we can't do it, pray to God and ask Him to help us. And you will get that help. That's our duty. If we want to be in the light, we have to act like it. And if we find ourselves in such darkness that we can't pull ourselves out of it, we can't stop resenting our parents or brothers or sisters or friends. If we can't stop, ask God for assistance. Ask God to help us. And now as we're asking, that light that's coming into our head like a tornado, right? Boom. We will get that help. That the very help that we're seeking, we will get. This is another thing to consider, y'all. I've seen this light come into people in the whole head like this. I mean, it's much bigger, it's much wider, like a tornado. And so the light is coming in, boom, like the whole head region, that light is coming in. But in some people, it's coming in like a point. That's how much of the darkness they're in, like a point. So they done close their heart. And so the light that comes in is still coming in, but it's like they're not accepting the light. And it's coming in like a point, and I mean a narrow point, instead of coming into their whole head. And it's what we're doing to ourselves. Okay, so, all right. So I wish to say, now we're in 211, and we're on we're in 211, paragraph 1, 2. I wish to say to that class, blessed boy, did I do that already? I'm gonna read it anyway.
We're on the bottom of that page, Father.
We're on the bottom. Further, I wish the students to understand. Is that where we're at, or we're at the last paragraph?
You were reading that paragraph. You can reread it because that's where you stopped to make the point.
Okay, let me reread it. Further, I wish the students to understand that the stream of life flowing through the mind and body always comes into them pure and unadulterated, containing within it all the strength and courage. Thank you, Lucretia, Sister Lucretia. Containing within it all the strength, courage, energy, and wisdom that can ever be desired. But by the lack of control of their thoughts and feelings, they are unknowingly requalifying this pure essence with the outer ideas upon which the attention has been fixed. To form the habit of every moment, the mind is not otherwise occupied of being self-conscious that I am the only intelligence acting, will keep that mighty, wonderful stream of life from being discolored. And I shall say, all right, so that's a mantra, check it. I am the only intelligence acting, right? Will keep that mighty, wondrous stream of life from being discolored. And I shall say, disqualified by the wrong conceptions of the outer activity of the mind. This is the simple secret of really all perfection. if one can but comprehend it. Now check it out. If you got a mantra, this is the whole purpose of that mantra, right? And by always saying the mantra, if you're saying the mantra 10,000 times a day, it's going to come a point where the mantra goes off in your head automatically. And all through the day, you're saying whatever religion you're in or whatever form of God you want to worship, on Allah, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Yeah, whatever mantra in these forms, in these political forms of worshiping God, if you're saying it all the time, that's the very point of the mantra, so that you're always talking about God, or you're always thinking of God. If you go into silence, that's going to help it a great deal. Our guru used to have us practice silence 2 hours out of the day, so that we just start developing being silent, which is a great power. When you're silent, you're not uttering through the power of the spoken word wickedness. You're not criticizing, you're not condemning, it helps a great deal. Now, same thing with the decrees. You're using the very power of God, this tornado of energy coming into your head, right? Like just last week or the week before, we were reading, Saint Germain says, this is a decree for the brain. And what is it? I'm the quickening of every cell in my brain structure, causing it to expand and receive the intelligent direction of the mighty presence within. Now, I noticed that they're spraying stuff, they're doing all this kind of stuff, right? You can modify these decrees for yourself, right? To fix yourself, to do yourself, right? You can modify the decrees for your own benefit. So what I did was I said, hey, you know, my mind used to be super, super tight. I remember stuff like nobody's business. And as you get older, the stuff they're spraying, the stuff they're putting in the water, which is rat poison, the stuff they're putting in the food that we can't even pronounce, you know, beryllium and aluminum and other things that they're spraying every day. They're dropping this on us. And then there's the things that the ships that we don't see that the Draco have, because they want us to break down our consciousness. Forget about just the diseases that they're filling us filled with, but they want to stop our even thinking. They want to stop our mind. They want us with Alzheimer's and dementia, right? So I added on to this decree for myself, which y'all could do. I'm gonna put it in the techniques that we're doing. I am the quickening of the cells of this my brain structure, causing it to expand and receive the intelligent direction of the mighty inner presence, bringing me total recall of mind and godlike mental abilities and physical perfection. If you say that 10,000 times a day, what do you think is going to happen to you? Remember this, you cannot give to God and get back nothing in return. You cannot give to God and get back nothing in return. What is Saint Germain said is the most powerful decree of them all. I am the conquering present. I command this iron presence to govern perfectly my mind, home, affairs, and world. What do you think is going to happen when you say that? I've seen what it did in my own life. I'm amazed what this has done in 2 weeks' time. But Saint Germain has said straight away, all the gurus have said, and straight away, you are dealing with a massive power. It's just up to you how you're going to direct that power. What is this power? God power, the power of God. And where does it exist? In its most prevalent, powerful form, in the power of the spoken word. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is what we get at our disposal at any given moment. This is what we get at our disposal to do whatever it is that we want. And the purer we make ourselves, the faster we'll manifest what it is that we want. As we read in these coming chapters where Jesus is speaking, he is banging out the game, y'all. He's crushing the game. He is saying, look, what y'all got to do is use these decrees. The more you use it, the sooner you'll start manifesting. Remember I told you about the guy, he just pointed at the two cars and they just, bam, went away just like that? How'd that happen? What is the likelihood of somebody coming? You know, and he said to the people that were helping him move, "Oh ye of little faith." Bam, bam. And there it was. I think Hanuman might have been there. I don't know. Anyway, no, he wasn't there. All right.
Somebody has their hand up, like.
But that's Hanuman. He didn't take it down yet.
Oh,
Wait, let me just.
Louis Garcia, see if you can take it down. All right, let me
Take it
continue.
down, Lalji. I don't know how to do it. I'm learning about this technology.
Okay.
Or
You
could you
like
mute
me.
yourself? I don't know how to do it.
Go to reaction.
Lower hand, there it is. Lower hand, there it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
Lalji, by the way, you didn't mention that we not only live with Guru, but we also live with Ganesh in Ganesh Puri in the form of Vijay Ananda.
Yeah, yeah, we did. There was the elephant there. Let me see the whole picture of Kim. Kim, can you adjust the picture so we can see your pretty face?
Oh, you know what? That's a school picture.
That's a
And
school.
I put it on Google,
That's
and
a
it
school picture.
zoomed in on the picture, so it's like you can't even see my hair.
No,
Oh,
and you
wow.
know that's wrong.
Of
Again,
course.
you don't see a woman hair, you know that's absolutely wrong. Anyway,
Yeah, they did that.
let me continue.
Lalji,
Yes,
you come to visit Ganesh Puri and bathe in the water, in the bath water that Nityananda bathed in and that we bathed in. The hot spring, the hot sulfur spring.
let me tell you about that because it's really high powered. One day we went to these hot sulfur springs that's in Ganeshpuri. And Ganeshpuri is a super holy place. And I can tell you stories about it. So there were people who were going there, and the Kumaras were there. My son came to visit me. The Kumaras were there, and they were there in the form of children at the hot springs. And once they saw the people come, they got there early. We used to go there ourselves, Hanuman and my son. We used to go down there and bathe in these holy hot springs, sulfur water that purifies you like nobody's business. And they disappeared, these Kumaras. But other things happened. Hanuman, was it you that was in Ganeshpuri and this tiger came and Bhagawan Nityananda was there? Was that you?
The tiger came and he jumped up on top of Nityananda and Nityananda petted him, and then the devotees with Nityananda were afraid, and Baba says, you better pet this tiger because if you don't, he's going to eat you. And they petted the tiger, and then the tiger went back in the jungle. But don't forget to tell them about the time they said that Nityananda was a thief, and the police and the politicians were harassing him. And he says, okay, I'm going to take you to where I get my money, because they said, you got to print it first.
Yeah.
And then he took a lake deep in the jungle, which was filled with tigers and all kind of poisonous snakes. And then he went to a giant lake, and it was filled with thousands of crocodiles.
Yep.
And then he jumped into the lake, and he dived down into the lake full of crocodiles. And when he came up with brand new rupee notes. And he says, here's where I get my money. You want to see it? Yeah, I get it from a big crocodile on the bottom. You want me to bring them up? They started getting scared. He says, no. And then they bowed, and then they ran away.
Let me tell you something. This is why I asked some of the people who were in, but he's the only one who came so far. I asked him, come to this program that we're doing now. Brother Hank would graced us with his presence, and a couple of other brothers. But you will be surprised of the miraculous experiences that you will have. You know, when you're in the presence of a Siddha master like Saint Germain, like Baba, like a Guru Mai, I mean, pure magic begins to happen. You will see phenomenal, you will have phenomenal and see phenomenal experiences happening on a regular basis. It is not an ordinary life. It's not like you struggling, like you in these monasteries and stuff like that. You are in the retreat of a Christ-like being, and magic is happening on a serious level. And the ashram that we happen to be in, our guru would play the mantra 24 hours a day. I mean, we chanted a whole book every day. A whole book every day. We was chanting like nobody business. Then we was doing service when we weren't chanting. Then we were doing mantras, as we were doing seva. So we were mixing all of the techniques to get to God. That's what Siddha Yoga is, Kundalini Yoga, Raj Yoga. That means you incorporate all the techniques to get to God, to quickly purify yourself. Then there's one technique that most people forget about. That is correcting yourself, correcting your ego. This is one of the biggest things to do, one of the most important things to do. Because if you can do the practices and be wicked. You can. You could do the practices, you could curse, you could curse other people with bolts of bedevilment. You can fight. You can do all kind of things while you're still doing the practices. But what happens is that super duper power that you're building comes back on you with a vengeance. So it's one thing for a knucklehead to do this stuff, but when you're initiated by a guru and you're doing the practices, you are creating a power that come back on you. And that's how it works. You know, devotees of God are not given latitude to be wicked. You know, it comes on you immediately. It comes on you immediately and with a vengeance. If I stole something, 10 things of that value will be stolen from me that day. So this was inspiration for me to realize, you know, don't steal. If you lie, it comes on you that day with a vengeance. So once you get with God, stay with God. Don't vacillate. That's why they say the path is the razor's edge. You don't have latitude to go this way or that way. You go this way, straight. What time is it? Okay, let me continue. This great life, if anybody had any questions, please let me know. And if my head is down, just somebody say, this one is asking a question. Or if you got a comment, just, you know,
Pop it on in.
just get in there. This great life comes in everyone's use, pure and perfect. But through lack of understanding, the outer mind is constantly requalifying it with discordant conceptions, and thus human beings change its otherwise perfect action into that which they find expressed in limitation and discord in their outer activities. I should take this, that's a jewel. This should make clear to the student the simple activity which they should self-consciously maintain in order to keep this marvelous, perfect life that is constantly flowing through their minds and body in its pure, fragrant state. I'm amazed that he said fragrant state. For I tell you truly, truly, that those who will follow and maintain this idea will find the emanations from their own bodies becoming rarer than the lily or the rose. Further, in the consciousness of this perfection, which is constantly flowing into their use, they can know it is as pure health and beauty of the face and form until its radiance shines forth like the sun. You know, I mean, I've seen this many times in the ashram, yes, but in my own child, and she go into a room, and you think that she's burning incense, and it's the effluvia of her aura and the scent of her aura that is saturating that room. Incredible, y'all, really incredible. And this smell, this scent, it just has a holiness, and it's really deep. It's really interesting. But above and beyond that, coming from a person, right? The smell in the ashram pervaded the whole ashram. It was a scent of indescribable holiness. Indescribable holiness. And in some places in the ashram, it was more intense than the others. But it's still coming generally out of the name of God or the effluvia of human beings that's walking to and fro. I was telling y'all just yesterday, I said, you're not going to believe this, but the guru told us when a devotee of God is walking, the dust comes up in the air. And this is what makes the clouds that we see. And God walks behind that person just so that dust could get on their body. Before he said this, he said, you know, you're not going to believe it. And I'm, you know, I believe because he said it. But this is the humility of God. Nonetheless, it's the purity of a devotee, of a pure person of God. You have a question?
No, it's just even when Guru Mai walks.
They can't hear you.
It's even when Guru Mai walks. Whenever she's around, you just know her by her smell.
Yeah, yeah, and it ain't cologne.
It's not cologne.
Yeah. Oh, beloved students, when it is so simple, requiring so little conscious, sustained effort, is it not worth all it requires on your part to enter into fullness of this life stream and receive its fullness and blessings? I want to say this. I'm just compelled to say this. When you're on a path and you're living that kind of life and you're traveling to and fro here and there, going to the Himalayas or going to this place, that place, and the other place, it's a glorious life because you're having magnificent experiences. You're meeting siddhas, godlike men, you know, and they're dropping it on you. They're giving you all kind of stories and experiences and blessings. It's a glorious life. And soon I'll be getting my passport back. And I want to have retreats where, you know, I was telling people about it yesterday. I was telling some people in the group yesterday. Retreats to these holy places, you know, month long, 3 months long, of traveling to these holy places, meeting God men and women. All right, meeting God men and women. This is
Don't
like,
forget about Mount Shasta.
and then there's Mount Shasta. Now I've been to Mount Shasta a couple of times. This is super duper high powered. This is super duper high powered, y'all. The one super holy place, well, not the one. I know of 2 super holy places in America. I know there are more than I know. Nope. Let me go back. There's a lot of retreats of the ascended masters in America, but they're not open to the general public. You can't just walk in. You got to be invited, and there are many. In fact, I got a book called The Retreats of the Masters. It's a great book. It's purple. I want to get it for you. You know where it is?
No, but I'll find
It's on one of the shelves that it's only spiritual books on that shelf.
it. What's it called?
The Retreats of the Masters. I think it's on the. It's a purple bound book. Not that big, but it's not small. I think it's in the other bookcases behind you. And so you'll see it. It's on a shelf that's only spiritual books, which are many shelves. But there's history, there's money, there's diet. You see it?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the book. And these are ascended masters. They got their treats all around America, but they're just not open to the general public. It was a time in the 30s where they were. The masters and their retreats. The masters and their retreats. See, now I'd like to know where these retreats are, and to see if I could get in them. And we have a decree that's to get into the retreat of the god Tabor, who was the god of gold. I would like that. I would love that I could get into one of these retreats. But there is a retreat of Guru Mai. There is the retreat of Amma in India. In fact, there's many open like ashrams and stuff like in the Himalayas and in India, a lot. Like money is acquiring money in America is abundant. Acquiring spiritual knowledge and spiritual experiences in India is abundant. And there's been a marriage between the two. Okay, now I lost where I was. Sister Lucretia, do you know where I left off?
It's we're on page 213, top of the page, I believe.
Top of the page. Okay, great. Yeah. In the Oriental activity, there is a secret society, in fact. It began in China, maintained gloriously in the light until one then in charge at the head of the order thought in one of the wars ravaged that his daughter, whom he loved so deeply, was killed by an Englishman. Let me read that again. In the Oriental activity, there was a secret society. In fact, it began in China, maintained gloriously in the light until the one then in charge at the head of the order thought in one of the war ravages that his daughter, whom he loved so deeply, was killed by an Englishman, which, however, was not the case. But it brought about the breaking of the order, and a picture of Fu Manchu, of which I think there have been 4 produced, are the picturing of this to the outer world, showing how the light may be distorted by something starting the feelings of revenge. Very deep, y'all. Revenge is a very deep thing, and when we enact in it, we always feel we're right, but it never gives satisfaction.
No.
In this one known as Fu Manchu was at the beginning of that activity, a wondrous, beautiful soul, and it showed how sometimes the ravages of war and the lack of control of the thought and feeling in the individual brings about such distortion in the life stream. In connection with South American activity, which the present work has been joyously to their attention, which the present work has drawn joyously to their attention. Until this focus of radiation began, it was doubted by most, except Nada and myself, the possibility of establishing such a focus in this busy Western world. But they did not know what I did. The fact of our long association not having been revealed to them. So I said on my own responsibility, I shall try it out. I shall try it out. Now I have the full cooperation of all who might have questions. The master from Venus and Lanto also stood with us. The master from Venus is, I believe he's speaking of Sanat Kumara. The master from Venus, or one of his brothers. The master from Venus and Lanto also stood with us. Lanto is also my ascended master. I said to them, the time has come where there are those outside of the retreats who can be made true messengers of the light. Thanks to you, I have been proven right. Now, and when he says to you, he's talking about Godfrey Ray King. Now, of course, I ask you all to stand with me in the sustaining of this. It proves that it is possible to establish this mighty active presence in the midst of a hailstorm, which is the hailstorm is figuratively the wickedness of earth. I have always maintained this, and most of the time I have stood alone. But the ability of the student to grasp the use of the I am presence in making tremendous things possible. And I say sincerely for your encouragement that with this marvelous condition maintained, which has come to this point, it is not impossible to have various ones of this ascended beings sit in your midst, as visible as your own physical bodies, and speak to you. This is not just a matter of desire on the students for it, but rather the preparation of the students for it. In other words, if you prepare to be in the midst of the ascended masters, Saint Germain said, if you just maintain harmony for 1 year, not only would our body change, but we'd be clean. Anyway, let me continue. Until recently, of course, this good brother has not known it, but for 30 years he has been being prepared for it. Half of that time, your Mr. Godfrey Ballard preparation was going on in the invisible, and it has been a remarkable, beautiful thing to all who have observed it. And they're talking about the ascended masters. He's talking about the ascended masters. Question: the other night, while in deep meditation, I heard the word "into the city of Delhi." Of Delhi. Answer: which really means into the city of light. Question: on Monday, November 29th, 1932, I heard in the morning before the discourse, and again today before the discourse, the words of Jesus: ye have been with me in my sorrows. Ye shall now behold me in my glory, and see the rewards which my Father doth give me. Answer: and so shall it be in your outer experience. The very words which Jesus used from time to time all may use, and will use sometimes, somewhere with fulfillment. For the words he used at all times were life and contained within them the ascended life of perfect life. Excuse me. How is the political situation? There will not be nearly so much accomplished by the element that sought entrance as they anticipated. The old saying that if you give a calf rope enough, it will hang itself is true with certain forces. Sometimes, when they think they have won an easy victory, they have sounded their own death knell. The accomplishments of the past few days drew the attention of many in the Golden City, who, as we projected the vision and sound rays today, came to look and behold the accomplishment. I say this for the encouragement of the students. While we are giving forth the work today, those in the Golden City are seeding forth to the students their glorious radiation. In other words, they're sending them energy for the work that they're doing. It has been a great joy to me to prove that in the land of America, for which I have worked so long, that there were those who could receive what you are receiving and giving forth at this time. There are those masters from Venus who have seen this with me for some time. The Kumaras, these are the brothers of Sanat Kumara. They're called the Kumaras. Field of action was in other ways, but they are now observant of this accomplishment. There is no radiation goes forth anywhere in the universe except through conscious projection. The radiation projected from the stars, so-called, to your earth does not and cannot come into contact with the earth without the conscious direction of the cosmic beings, who is the conscious directing presence of that star or planet. This conscious direction is what makes the radiation from one planet to another reach its destination. But the radiation thus directed does not carry any advantage except to any individuals there. I don't understand it. Let me read that again. But the radiation thus directed does not carry any adverse aspects to any individuals there. I misread a word. All right. So in other words, like the rays from Venus are beneficial to us here. The universal, and it looks like that as you see the planet in the sky, it looks like beneficent rays are coming to us. The universal cosmic law of the earth, which impels growth through the law of experience, hold within themselves that which you know as resistance. If there were not that which the individual is known as resistance, he would not make conscious effort, and this would make it impossible for the advancement in understanding or the return of the Father's house from which the children of earth have strayed. Resistance has nothing whatsoever to do with discord. Resistance is a natural law. Discord is a human creation. There is no discord in the universe except that which the personality creates. Take the dynamic consciousness. I am the pure mind of God in everyone present here. This shuts out human desire. Here's a mantra for you. I am the pure mind of God in everyone present here. This shuts out human desire. Take the consciousness. I am the governing presence of this. The desire first comes in the mind. And if you take the consciousness, I am the pure mind of God, it consumes the thought. And keeps the human mind clear from the desire entirely. This will work excellently if you're trying to maintain celibacy. I am the pure mind of God. There's other decrees also that I got a whole page of them that keeps you to be celibate if this is what you're trying to do and finding it difficult. When the liquid precipitates in the hand, instantly qualify it as liquid light. and it will manifest as that. Give the command for that quality before being the precipitation. One student should not expect to see the same activity as another. The students are not supposed to see or feel alike. There is not a moment in the day that we do not visualize something, because the power of vision is acting all the time. Keep all out of the mind except the picture you want, for that is all with which you are concerned. Do not let the attention become focused on a seeming emptiness. Anybody got any questions? Any comments? All right, I'm going to
I have
read.
a question. I have a question about that.
Okay.
When it says that when the liquid precipitates in the hand, instantly qualify it as liquid light, which liquid are they referring to?
I had that
Is
same.
being referred.
I had that same question. And I was a little confused about what it was. When the liquid precipitates in the hand, instantly qualify it as liquid light, and it will manifest as that. Give the command for that quality before beginning the precipitation. Let's go up here and see if we can get a little more clarity on that. Because I was wondering in myself, what is he talking about? Take the dynamic consciousness. I am the pure mind of God and everyone present here. Thus shuts out the human desire. Take the consciousness. I am the governing presence of this. The desire first comes in the mind. I am the governing presence of this. The desire first comes in the mind. There is a mantra, a decree that we're using. I'm the governing presence of this energy and the only power that can raise it. I'm the presence raising it and transcending it. And that action is instantly attained. We say this, every day, every time we meet. And that is to control the sex urge. So I'm wondering, but he never really speaks like that. So let's see. The desire first comes in the mind, bam, and then here's another one that is for that very reason, to control or to hold on to your celibacy. If you take the consciousness, I am the pure mind of God. Now he said in other chapters, going back, if you have this urge to want to have sex, say, I'm the pure mind of God, and it will correct that. It will take that urge out of you. To be honest with you, Sister Lucretia, I am not clear what he's saying here, but let's read on, and clarity may come to us. I am the pure mind of God. It consumes the thought and keeps the human mind clear from the desire entirely. When the liquid precipitates in the hand, instantly qualify it as liquid light, and it will manifest as that. Give the command for the quality before beginning the precipitation. One student should not accept to see the same activity as another. The students are not supposed to see or feel alike. There is not a moment in the day that we do not visualize something, because the power of vision is acting all the time. Keep all out of the mind except the picture you want, for that is all with which you are concerned. Do not let the attention become focused on the seeming emptiness. I can't answer that question, but it sounds like he's talking about somebody masturbating, although he never speaks like that. But we don't know. Liquid light.
I have a question about that. I don't remember if it was the Magic Presence or the other book. Or there was a lot about precipitation, which was just things instantly manifesting. Remember they likened precipitation to things just instantly manifesting?
Yeah, that's what they mean, And so like he precipitated in his hand gold in I think the first book with Godfrey Ray King, Unveiled Mysteries. And so he never speaks like that. So maybe I'm wrong in what I'm thinking here. because he does precipitate things in your hand. But now remember this too, veggie backing on things we said before, that if, like Jesus says, and it's going to be coming up soon, I don't know if it's in the next chapter, Jesus is going to be speaking in one of these chapters, and he's saying, look, you're going to get mastery through use. By using these decrees, you're going to get mastery, and you will manifest. You will have precipitation. So that, I would think, is more of what he's saying. Although a couple of these mantras are to control that urge. The other thing is that it is the power that gives you the greatest. It is that liquid light gives you an extreme great power.
What is precipitation? Maybe I missed it.
Precipitation means to bring forth into your conscious experience. It means to bring forth, like manifestation. To precipitate is like rain precipitates, right? And
don't forget, Lalji, to tell them that 1 drop of semen is worth 40 drops of blood.
Nope. Baba said this. He said it takes, that's Hanumanji. He said that 800 pounds of food will create 1 pint of blood, and 80 pints of blood will create 1 drop of semen. So valuable is that semen. It is liquid light. It gives us the power to create life. So
not only that, but it's called God in motion.
Yeah. It is liquid light. So imagine if you've wasted a gallon of that precious light. It's like a form of suicide. That liquid light is the only food that the brain eats. And it goes up to Sushumna, a nadi in your spine, a nerve in your spine. There's 3 nerves in your spine. And the Sushumna is the middle nerve. Ida and Pingala and Sushumna. And that's where the Kundalini travels up into the head. And once that happens,
it travels to the 1,000-petal lotus.
Yep.
And it's transmuted into an energy called Ojas.
Yep. So there's a mist.
Everybody practices celibacy. The guru and everybody that was in the ashram.
Yeah.
And so,
to the best of their ability. To the best of their ability.
So is Tantra allowed? Tantra?
Oh, definitely. You got to remember this. Tantra.
There's 2 paths, the right-handed path and the left-handed path.
Check it out.
Okay.
Tantra. Tantra is not bump, get it with all these various techniques. No. Tantra is the worship of the Divine Mother within. Now consider this. When you do, and it is a totally different experience than them bump, get it, like like the whores of Babylon are having their field days here in America, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying it. Total different experience. If 2 people come together to worship the Divine Mother within, the Divine Mother and Divine Father within, and using the name of God, especially if this purpose is for the bringing in a child, this is a holy ritual of lovemaking. And it is a total different experience when you're making love to the Divine Mother within. Tantra is the worship of the Divine Mother within. That's what that's about. And it's also teaching you the art and science of lovemaking, or the art and science of sex. The art for women is to heat her up, but the man has to be able to do that. Most men, because the liquid light is in their hand from masturbation, right? They're experiencing premature ejaculation because they was touching themselves before they were ripe, before their body was ripe, like pulling an apple off from the tree before it's ripe and thinking it's going to be sweet. It's not. So a part of Tantra, which you can get pretty quick, is to be able to control your seed. And the Tao of Human Sexuality by Mantak Chia gives you a lot of insight on how to do that. It's technique, and you gain mastery within 2 weeks, even if you're in a bad situation, right? like you got no control over your ejaculation for men. But for women, it's a different thing, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so, but that task is then left to the man to be able to be able to satisfy and bring a woman to a climax. But now consider this, especially if you're having a child, if the purpose of you making love is to have a child, and I say making love because that's what it is, different from bump, bump, get it, right? Which is what's happening here in America, like nobody's business. That experience is much more higher. That experience is much more higher than just lust. Still, the responsibility on the man to take that woman, and then consider this too. Imagine if you're doing this and you're repeating the name of God while you're doing it. The sinister forces uses sex to perform magic. So if you're using that same energy and to bring about things that they want, generally not a child, but if you're using that same force and you're repeating the name of God out loud, because many people want you to curse at them, call them all kind of curse names and all this saying, and you know, this kind of stuff, right? Imagine if what you're doing, it's deep though, it used to say, you know, imagine if what you're doing is repeating the name of God. And then, but for the child, for bringing in a holy child, right? Another portal is opened up where divine being can enter in through that portal. Okay? And as the man brings the woman to a point where she reaches a climax, he can climax just like that. So if what's going on is that's happening and you're repeating the name of God, both of you are repeating the name of God, what you doing? Oh, okay, good. I'm glad somebody asked that question. Put it in the chat. If both are repeating the name of God while they're making their love, all kind of magic is around that person. If you got the eye to see it, you're seeing a holy thing happen right there, and you see that portal open up where divine being can come in, and this is the only way they're going to be able to come in. All right. What you have done was you made the word flesh. In the beginning, there was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So you made God through your holy act of lovemaking. That's what you're doing. But that's not where the process ends. Like I was telling you last week, the process continues. And now it's only the woman that has the control, because she has the seed. If she can repeats the mantra, if she lives this holy life, if she lives repeat the decrees, if she talked to that child, if she put tapes on the child of the Guru Gita or these holy chants, you know, and visits holy places and eats pure, holy food that's always dedicated to God.
You have to eat vegetarian food.
Right. And what
significant part of the Tantra is Tantra mantras and yagna, fire rituals.
Yeah. So if you
always have fire rituals at the ashram.
Yeah, I was telling him about that too last week. I think even yesterday we were talking about that when we was reading the Ramayana. So in this light, you bringing in a powerful child. I'm going to give a course on divine conception, how to bring forth a holy child with qualities. You can tap the DNA. You can call on the DNA all along while you're preparing and while you're making love. You can call on the God of righteousness to imbue righteousness in his child. You can call on the goddess Lakshmi to give this child wealth. You can call on all the gods for their qualities while you're making this love and repeat their mantras and tap that DNA to open up to be inside that child. This is a divine process, and this is how we're going to save ourselves. This is how we're going to save ourselves. We're going to save ourselves by bringing in children in this holy light instead of drinking, going up, eating some beef at night, 12 o'clock coming home and bump, have some wine or some liquor,
Yeah.
And this is like, for the most part, the highest form of most people trying to bring in a child. We're going to go out, we're going to have dinner, we're going to have a great time. We're going to drink some alcohol, We might even have some cocaine, Yep. Tell it, y'all. And these are people who think that they're doing the right thing. That's how low we have sunken. We got to look up to look down. That's how low, and that's why the earth is filled with low beings. Most of us are
saying that we had this information already.
No.
We have all the information.
Well, this is
Black people have been miseducated. It's been the miseducation of Black people by the white man.
I ain't gonna say by the white man, because the white man's are pawns in the game. The white man is pawns in the game, just like we are pawns in the game. It's not just white. It's black. It's white. It's Chinese. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody done joined into this wickedness. We accepted it and we doing it. Ain't no white man out there saying, "Look, Negroes, do this." No. And then you look. This is beyond race.
We have to follow divine consciousness. That's all.
Yeah, that's the deal. But consider it. Imagine if we did do this. Imagine if we start.
Well, listen. It is true. And by the white man, did you know that in 42 states in the United States have banned the critical race theory? You can't teach them in the schools. You get fired in Florida if you wear a shirt that says Black Lives Matter. You can't teach that Hitler was bad. You can't teach about slavery or nothing in Florida. Okay, this is the critical race theory. You know what I mean? It's been banned in 42 countries. That's almost like totalitarianism, where the government tells you what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot teach.
Yeah, that's so. But now
it's almost like fascism that's evolving in this country. It's becoming more and more prevalent because these politicians are seeing that Black people are waking up. They're saying when they had those riots, they were saying, "Oh, the problem is with the curriculum. We got to stop that curriculum." You understand? The kids are getting educated and they're starting to open up their mind. Before we used to have Columbus Day, we said, "Fuck Columbus Day no more." Columbus came here and created a genocide of Indians. They killed all the Indians. You understand? And you don't see no Indians walking around in New York City or riding the subway.
You do.
I do.
They just don't know that they are Indians. They just don't know. They've confused us. Hold up, Panama G. Hold up a second. It ain't the white man. We are definitely talking about the satanic Illuminati. There's whites, there's blacks. Look, there's a guy it was in Washington, a black guy who would get these kids, and his name was the same name as this guy who had this radio, this TV show. Man, I can't remember. Larry, yeah. Larry,
If he was the guy.
he wore glasses. He's an old guy.
He's dead now.
Yeah, he just died like a year ago or so. Larry,
King.
King. That's exactly. This guy was named Larry King, a black guy, and he even got busted. I mean, he's big. What he was doing was feeding little kids, teenage kids, babies, to the satanic Illuminati in the Washington complex. He was the one that was getting them in there. Now, we don't need to focus on them. What we need to be focusing on is the gods. And it ain't just white. And then consider this. Sammy Davis Jr., who we all love, was a Satanist. Y'all got to realize they are all around us. And they are black, they white, they Chinese, they're Christian, they're Jews, they're Muslims, they're all around. Now, there was a question in the chat, was speak on, what was the question, Jenny? Could you pull it up again?
Oh, sorry, one second.
We got 7 minutes.
1 second, somebody said, can you speak on, wait, where did it go? Can you
comment on women's self-pleasuring? Here, check this out. Not only will I comment on the women's self-pleasuring, can you take that out?
Sorry.
Not only on women's self-pleasuring, men's self-pleasuring. It's called Onas. I was reading this book where it sounds like Asar, but masturbating, right? And to put it in the way of self-pleasuring almost sounds good. But what you're doing is you're depleting your divine energy, especially the woman. Especially when, now check this out, y'all. Who said that a woman was supposed to be menstruating, losing their blood every month? Is this a scheme to bring down humanity? If it takes 800 pounds of food to make 1 pint of blood, and then 80 pints of blood to make 1 drop of semen or lachia in women, blood is a key factor. Why are they depleting this blood out of the women? And if you're self pleasuring or masturbating as a woman, what you're doing is you're bringing your energy down. Now, people can say whatever they want and do whatever they want in this regard, but this is a science, and you feel it when you do it. You feel it, and the feeling is not a good feeling either. I'll get to her, and so here's the deal. Even in regards to men being with men or women being with women, there's a history to that also, and it's an ancient history, and it's coming from another world. Be good to study it. The deal is, it's not who you having sex with, although it would be better to be more natural, like nature intended. It's that you're having sex at all, except for producing a child. This is the law, y'all. We don't want to hear it because we want to bump, get it. But we are depleting our energy. We're losing our mind. We're losing our memory. We're losing all things that come with holding on to that valuable seed. There was a time where there were no women here, and the men were holding on to their seed to the point where we start battling with the gods themselves. Well, not real gods, but extraterrestrial that were posing themselves as gods. And they were like, yo, these humans ain't playing. And we won sometime. We would capture some of them and kill them. They said, look, if we don't take control of the men on this planet, they're going to take over the planet. And in reality, what's going to happen is our monkeys are going to take over the planet, and we'll be the laughing stock of the galaxy. So they said, what are we going to do? We got to stop them. They're our slaves, but we got to change. We got to change what we created. And they knew what to do because they conquer many planets. They're going around the galaxy and the universe, finding planets that they could take over and milk for all that's in those planets. And this particular planet, this is a gold-rich, mineral-rich, water-rich planet. All kind of preciousness is on the earth. So they said, look, we not only got to get women down there for these men, they got to be super beautiful. They got to lose their mind when they look at these women. And we got a history of that. The women of earth are extremely beautiful. Why? Because the men were so powerful that we fought with the gods and we whooped their behind. We were about to take over the planet. So they got women that were so beautiful, they hypnotized us. It was like, oh my God, what is that? And we got a history of this, don't we? In the Bible itself, it tells you the women of earth were so beautiful. The gods came down here to have children with them. And we got a history of that. Not only the gods, but the angels themselves came down and they married the women of earth. They didn't just get them and go. They married them. So this concept of self-pleasuring, of masturbating, should be looked at in a very simple way. A form of suicide. And your most powerful, churned energy is depleted out of your body like it's urine. And I don't want to use, I'm trying to keep it clean by saying urine, but it is not urine. It is your liquid light. It is your divine force. It is a light that will bring forth life. So, hey, I'm not saying what you do or what you shouldn't do. I'm telling you what's the consequences when you do it. When you lose that liquid light, you are diminishing yourself. The Jews believe that when you ejaculate, and that's not a child that's born, that those spermatozoa meet you after death, and they come to you and they say, "Daddy, daddy, daddy," or "Mommy, mommy, mommy." Man, I hope that's not true. Really, too. I hope that's not true. But what about the infanticide that they call an abortion to try and make it sound like? And what about the lies they're saying about infanticide to try to make us feel okay with it? like it's that seed is not alive. It's not alive until it reaches a certain state. It's all alive. It's alive it's alive inside the man before he even gives it to the woman. And it continues to grow. And this is one of the manifestations of life, that it grows, that it has movement. And that spermatozoa has serious movement. It's just a bunch of lies to make us feel okay about what we're doing. And when you masturbate, you don't feel joyous and good behind that. There's a deadening type of feeling. There's a guilty type of feeling. And some people, the Elohim, the first time you masturbate, will start talking to you, or will be like screaming to you, saying taboo and speaking in another language, telling you this is not right. And you may not understand that language. You may not understand the words, but you definitely understand that what you did was not good. And it will only happen once. Or the eyes may be all around you, going up like in a tunnel, just watching you. Are we watching you? We watching you in your wickedness and your stupidity and your depleting of your own divine energy that has been churning. This seed is so powerful in men and women that you're protected from even wanting to have sex in your youth, or even being able to ejaculate in your youth. But I want to tell you something. The sinister forces, they know how to get at it and push it out of you in the youngest of ages. And that's what they do. I showed you a film of this, of these kids that live in England, where they're hanging out, where these Satanists are hanging out. They're hanging out in the churches. And the doors are locked, so only certain people can get in. But that's where they're doing what they do. So to think about, can you put that back up? The question. So we're over a minute, but I want to see, there was other questions in the chat. Let's see. Can you come in over the liquid light that they may be referring to is the light of God? Yep. Censorship alive. Who can see your message? Okay.
Wait. Censorship. Okay.
Yeah. So what we need to hone in on is that they're coming after us real hard. Censorship, totalitarian reality, it's already upon us, y'all, especially through the media. Look at how they're working the mind. They got people like hypnotized to their phones like it's a drug. You know, I see people getting up in the morning, first thing they do is they get their phone. I'm like, and I feel like, you know, I'm in one way, I'm glad I didn't get into that madness. But this technology is so prevalent, now I'm behind in it. Anyway, we need to watch how we deal with this technology, because this program that we're watching right now, as we're watching it, they're watching us. And we know that. We know that we can say something about soap powder. Next thing we know, we're going to see a commercial about a soap powder, whether we're on the phone or we're in the television. They are watching everything we're doing and saying. You carrying that phone around with you everywhere you go, they are listening to everything we're saying, because they want to know what threats are coming, because they're getting to make the big move now. They already did the 9/11 thing, all right? They already did, and we fell for it. We fell for the okie doke. Now they're doing. They just did the scamdemic with the COVID, right? And COVID has been around since man has been around, and it is not as bad as the flu. They already played that and got people to take their vaccines and all like this. There's a book called The Immune Trio. It tells you how vaccines are and how they work. It is foolish to take these vaccines. I'm going to tell you straight up. You are depleting your system. The Immune Trio will tell you that. They're using these vaccines in Australia to get rid of the Black Australians. Anyway, I'm 3 minutes over. We started 2 minutes late, so I'm 3 minutes over. And that is such a pretty picture, Kim. That picture, every time I look over there, I'm like, gee whiz, that's a pretty something. Anyway, let's end our program now. You want to give me my book? No. Nityanandaya Gurave Shisha Samsara Harine Bhaktakaye Dede Haya Namaste Chitsaratmane Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murte Nish Prapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Sahana Vavaktu Sahano Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karnava Vahe Tejas Vinavadi Tamastu Ma Vivisha Vahe. Om Shanti 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 Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Everyone, may God bless you.
Baba?
Yes.
One quick question. Would you like to have someone volunteer for next week?
Yes, I would. Who wants to volunteer for next week? Boy, Lucretia, if you wasn't here, I don't know. Thank you.
So Tiffany says the hormones that they're pumping in the food are causing folks' hormones to rage, over sexualized.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So remember, y'all, anybody can make a comment, ask a question, and please do. So is anybody going to, do I got to pick somebody? All right, nobody's volunteering. Simon Cool, you always rock the house. You always rock the house. Can't hide, my brother. Can't hide. Simon Cool? Simon Cool?
He turned off his mic.
He sure did.
He turned off his mic. Turn it back on, Simon Cool.
No, I said not yet, man, not yet.
Come on now, y'all. Y'all always letting the ladies do all the work. They're doing all the work.
And somebody else.
I got to bring somebody in here, Lord. I got to pay somebody to come do this work now?
What are you doing?
I'm looking to see here. I need you, Simon Cool. Why don't me and you do it together then?
All right, man.
All right? All right. So
there's David.
David, Dave, you haven't done. All right, Dave. So what we do, Dave, you think you can get the week after? Hey, Dave, I got some money for you. Let's see if he come on down. Anyway, okay, next week, me and you do it, okay? Brother Simon Cool?
Okay.
So we're doing chapter, I think it's 19?
Yes, 19.
Chapter 19.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is it. Chapter 19.
Who is C? Is C a guy or a girl? C looks like a guy.
Where? C.
C.
Yeah, who is C?
Okay.
Who is C? C? With all the pictures there? C, what, you fall asleep? You left the chat? C?
That's what we ask everybody to.
The camera. All right, y'all. So we'll be here later. And I didn't do the benediction, so let me do the benediction before we go, if y'all don't mind. In the great devotion, in the fullness of our heart of love, in the fullness of our adoration to the God presence, which I am, the ascended Jesus Christ, we pour forth our gratitude and praise for the sustaining presence, the good of every description held within this radiance of which we are receiving hourly. Thou mighty presence, as we find ourselves held within the mighty embrace, we become imbued with the radiant intelligence, the marvelous strength, the invincible courage to hold constantly within the mighty light. We thank thee. Sagurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay, y'all. Next week is me and you, Simon Cool.
All right.
All right. So it looked like we're gonna have to assign some of y'all. We need to get this. We need to get people for 2 weeks and not just one, so we know who's going forth. Y'all got to get up your courage. So, Brother David, we may have to enlist you to do one too. To get down with the get down. We can't all just leave it to the ladies, y'all. We can't leave it to the ladies to do all the work. All right. So like I said before.
No problem. I'm down.
All right, cool. I know you
I'm
are.
down.
So, like I said, God bless you all. God bless your family. God bless your friends. God bless your dreams and goals. And what is that? Someone in the chat?
Yeah.
Someone got a question in the chat?
Yes, a signer. Tiffany said yes, a signer.
Okay, that's what's coming, Tiffany. We're going to sign. So next week, we're going to be a signer. So everybody, what y'all need to understand is next week, we're going to assign everybody their week to do the work.
Starting next week.
See,
Okay.
I know who's down with the get down. Y'all manifest with what y'all do. And there's a lot of high-powered people in this group. So don't be hiding, y'all. All right? Yeah, you're hiding. So I see everybody next week, same time, same station.
Many blessings all.
Yes. Sagurinath, my brother. Sagurinath, my Rajki Jay. You're welcome.
Say often, yes, I am. Supreme shield of protection surrounding me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am remembering all I was born to do. Yes, I am. Take hold of your crystal, which will magnify your I am affirmations at least 600%. If